am currently working on some pieces for a kind of craft fair. It's called a zine fair, but I won't be selling any zines. I'll hopefully be trying to sell some little signs that I'm making. I've got a lot of kind of commercial stuff in the works at the minute, but this weekend I have it free, so I'm going to spend it making some pieces for that fair. That will be at the start of October. So I drew up and designed some pieces, and this is looking very messy if you look close, but I'm about to do a couple of layers of paint. I won't be able to finish it with this video because in between some of the layers I'll have to let them dry for a few hours. So I'm using this very, very smelly, strong, toxic paint. I love it, but it is not very nice to smell. So normally I actually wear a mask when I'm painting, but I'm going to have to speak, so I'm just going to have to try to hold my nose closed a little bit, if that's possible. So yeah, it's looking a little bit messy. These are just little pieces of plywood. I kind of have a store of them already, but I want to try to get a few more pieces out, so I'm going to try to get quite a bit done before the fair starts. So I used spray paint. As I've mentioned before, I don't tend to use kind of a lot of spray paint in one go. I'll just use them for things like this, or just backgrounds of pieces, things like that. So I applied 2 different shades of purple onto the board with a little bit of a kind of dark vignette type thing, and then I printed off onto newsprint a design that I'd put together on Photoshop, and then I pounced that using this bounce wheel, but when I pounced it and then sprayed spray paint through it, normally you'd use chalk, but when it's something that I don't know, when it's a kind of personal thing, or when the surface can't really be damaged, or if I'm not using kind of 23 carat gold leaf or something really kind of precious, then instead of using chalk I'll use spray paint, just because it stays on. You can't rub it away, and there's not just dust all over the place. But the only problem with these ply sheets is that, especially after you've spray painted it, it becomes quite rough. So little bits came through, which was okay to work with, but I had to kind of guess for a lot of it, so I just took a Chinograph pencil, which is kind of similar to like a thin version of a wax crayon almost, and I just kind of sketched up the design a little bit more neatly so I could see it better. And then I applied silver leaf, but again the surface is so rough that it actually reacted quite oddly. The size kind of dried very quickly, so I had to do a kind of few layers, and it's not the best surface to work on for silver leaf, but it still gives a nice kind of quality when you catch it at different light angles. And then I, not carefully at all, applied a kind of corally colour into this kind of highlighted side. It doesn't need to be neat because I'm still going to be painting black over there and around there. So the next step is to paint these little flourishes black and then white around the silver leaf. And then once that is dry, I'll come back and I will do black around these sections. And then I'll fill these sections in. I'm also working on one that will say paradise, one that just says kissing booth, because I saw a sign that said kissing booth on my Instagram. Basically everyone that I follow is on there is a sign painter. I'm trying to avoid it in a minute because there's a showcase of female sign painters' work on in Chicago, and basically everyone I follow is there. It's horrible. It's the first show of its kind, and I just really hope they do it again next year so I can go. And hopefully they'll come to England, or maybe somewhere else. I can imagine it spreading to somewhere else. And some of the other ones that I'm doing, one just says coffee, just because I know people really like coffee. I can't remember what the other ones are right now. But actually, if you have any ideas of things that you think people might like to buy and might look good on a sign, then let me know. But yeah, I thought that I would just make a little video painting these little flourishes on. So I'm running now on the black at the minute, but I do actually have another one yet to start, so that's okay, with a white one. The problem with these paints is that they're so thick that it's really difficult to do anything to prevent them kind of forming a skin. I'm currently wearing my painting jeans. They're basically all I've been wearing lately. I went to a charity shop earlier after I went to the post office to post a sign to somebody, and I went to maybe 5 or 6 charity shops, and I told myself that I would buy myself an item of clothing to kind of treat myself, because I've noticed that all I've been wearing lately is stuff either for painting in or for climbing in, so I've not really had a chance to kind of be a girl, whatever that means, or kind of make myself, I don't know, look decent, I guess. And I kind of miss having the opportunity to express myself in that way. So I tried really hard to find something, and what I came back with was a 99p kids size Simpsons top, which I basically already decided when I bought it that I would probably either just sleep in it or paint in it. Yeah, I didn't do a very good job at that task. So because I'm not actually mixing up a colour, I'm just using black, I'm just going to use this to get, that's a nice sound, to get a little bit of paint into here. You don't actually need very much. And then, rather than white spirit, I use something called Cestit. It probably is just as bad for you, but they at least try to make it smell half decent, so it smells more like oranges than completely chemical-like. And the reason you have to thin it down is because this enamel paint is so kind of thick and goopy that you need it to be thin enough for your brush to be able to kind of move with the paint, but not so thin that it loses its kind of opacity. So that looks about right. So I probably won't be able to do like amazing kind of curly movements just because this surface, I think you can hear how rough that is. That's not even my nail on it, that's just my finger. So it does kind of stop the flow of the paintbrush to a certain extent. And you kind of have to smush. And that wasn't me that made that word up. A sign painter in New York told me the word smush for what you're supposed to do with your paintbrush to get it to its kind of most flexible. And it also flattens it to the kind of thickness that it's actually supposed to be. It's difficult to thin out the paint to the amount where you also don't need to keep topping up your brush with more paint. But this seems like a quite good thickness at the minute. I need to practice painting kind of vertically at my easel a little bit more. I've used it a lot for chalkboard stuff and for some painting stuff, but I need to practice it a bit more because that is how most sign painters kind of on the job will do stuff. I may have I basically do have a job in place, in the works, but it's not, like I'm not there and I've not painted it and the money hasn't been received, so I'm not going to confirm it 100%. I don't want to kind of jinx anything, but soon I may be going to London to paint a storefront for a brand new vegan cafe, art gallery and studio space, which is really exciting. Actually, the person who runs the craft fair that I will be stalling at in October is the person who told this girl in London about my sign writing. So that'll be really exciting if it goes ahead. I also did the sketching for it, so I really hope I do get to do it. It involves lots of pretty kind of illustrative touches and pink, which I'm very happy about. For some reason, I can always hear I think it's either birds or squirrels. I've seen squirrels in this warehouse kind of unit too, but I can always hear them kind of, what's the word? just doing their thing on the roof above me. Oh god, also, so I'm not sure if I've mentioned it too many times, but there was a fire at the warehouse where my studio is in a few months back, and we have kind of plastic, I guess, ceiling windows. They're not openable. They probably shouldn't be with British weather anyway. 15 minutes ago, before I started this video, it was completely chucking it down, and I had to wait for the rain to stop because it's just so audible. But those windows were a little bit kind of dirty anyway, just from the age, but also a lot of the soot landed on them, so not much light came through. But the kind of owner of the warehouse came around with a pressure washer, and is that rain starting again? I hope not. In fact, I like the sound of rain on windows, so as long as it doesn't get too loud, I might just keep that in as part of the kind of vibe. Just focus on how cozy you are. Anyway, the person came round and used a pressure washer to get rid of the soot and anything like that from the windows, and for some reason it has driven in some very interesting, and by interesting I mean terrifying, wildlife. So that is definitely rain. But it's odd because I can lean over and see the window through the next kind of studio, and it's still nice and bright and sunny for some reason. But what was I saying? Yes, some very large and scary living things have been kind of working their way into my studio. I guess the pressure washer kind of maybe ruined most of their homes, or just drove them in for some reason. And I'm trying to look at them and just think of them as tiny versions of my dog. It's not really working very well at the minute, but maybe if I do it for long enough it will work. So I basically always notice mistakes or little areas that could be better. There's about a million things that I'm noticing wrong with that, but I'll just come back to it later. The thing about this paint as well is that it kind of tacks up very quickly. It's already kind of becoming very thick and more difficult to use with a brush. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. Of the white spirit kind of alternative. So hopefully that's a bit better to use. A little bit. I might zoom in a little bit so you can see the movements a little better. And with this you can see the terrible detail of the silver leaf and everything. The rain has well and truly come back to us. So, that is one of the little flourishes done. And it might not be ready yet, but I'll put a link to my website in the description, and I may put the finished picture of this up there for you to see. Thank you for watching.